What's up, YouTube? It's time for a review of the new J. Cole record, For Your Eyez Only, out this past Friday, December 9th. J. Cole's merit as a hip-hop artist is always a fascinating topic because whenever he comes up in hip-hop discussions, there are two very, very distinct camps that form. Camp 1 is made up of largely people from my generation who basically came of age with Cole projects like The Warm Up and Friday Night Lights. Camp 1 thinks that J. Cole is one of, if not the best rapper alive. They think he's the leader of the new school. They think he's already had 3 or 4 classic projects. He speaks for a generation. He got the torch from Nas, yada, yada, yada. Camp 2 is not as impressed. Camp 2 thinks J. Cole is horribly overrated. They think he's derivative. They think he hasn't been able to really build on anything that other MCs haven't done in the past. You know, he's not as lyrical as a Big Punter and Eminem. His storytelling isn't as vivid as like a Nas or a Slick Rick or a Cool G Rap. He's not as charismatic as a Biggie or a Jay-Z. So what's new here? And they're particularly bothered by the cringeworthy punchlines that he gets away with. Like, I rap like a Christmas tree. You think you're the shit, but you can't out-fart me. Stuff like that. And this camp just can't understand why J. Cole is so popular and so well regarded. Where do I stand? Well, I think everybody's wrong, because I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle of those two extremes. To me, J. Cole is a sincere, decent to pretty good rapper who often is able to pull together great songs. I like his ability to hone in on a song concept. I like his ability to tell stories. I like how open and vulnerable he is. He'll tell you exactly what's on his mind, regardless of how it makes him look. And I think throughout his career, he's been on several great beats and he's had several great hooks. A project like 2014 Forest Hills Drive, which to me is his best, is a great record for just putting on a long car ride. Because the songs are so conceptual, like Love Yours and '03 Adolescence and Wet Dreams, that they kind of just pull you into his thoughts and into his life while you're just cruising along. And the relatively easygoing beats and hooks make it just a really smooth, cohesive listen. It's not a perfect album. I could totally see how you could find J. Cole's personality to be kind of boring or vanilla, or if you find his spotty singing voice to be an issue. But completely hate the album? I think at that point, if you just really hate that record, then you're just really mad at those overzealous people who are like hailing it as a masterpiece. But anyway, literally 2 years to the date from Forest Hills Drive, which, by the way, that's been happening a lot because in 2014, albums came out on Tuesdays, and the way the calendar worked, the same exact date now is a Friday in 2016, so that's fascinating. But anyway, 2 years to the date, he's back with For Your Eyez Only, which he teased with a couple incendiary non-album singles that went at Kanye and Wale and got everybody talking, which that's the one thing I think everyone can agree on with J. Cole, is he's a rapper that really gets people talking, and that's good for the culture any way you slice it. All that being said, something his detractors will immediately notice is the cringeworthy punchlines are still there. Maybe not as pronounced as they've been in the past, but they're definitely still there. You got the song Deja Vu, where he does another corny double entendre about the girl being a star. He says on a scale of 1 to 10, she's 100. The song Change, he says, I'm living fast like I'm in a drag race. How that gas taste. She's Mine Part 1, he says, the head game is stronger than a few Excedrin, which felt like something like Mac Miller would have done on The Divine Feminine. Like, build up this vulnerable, sensual atmosphere and then just kind of disrupt it by throwing out this, like, clumsy, vulgar punchline. And then, of course, you've got Foldin Clothes, where he talks about Netflix, and there's the bar about almond milk. Foldin Clothes has to be one of my least favorite J. Cole songs ever. The sentiment is sweet. It's, you know, a man looking to show his girl he cares by trying to ease her burden and take some chores off her hands. I love the concept, but just the way it's executed is corny. Like in the hook when he says, I want to fold clothes for you. I want to make you feel good. That like feels like something Macklemore would have rapped on that awful song Spoons that he put out earlier this year. And towards the end of the track, J. Cole kind of just says, like, it's the simple things. And I thought that plainly stating the message of the song like this really took away from any sort of impact that it might have. Like, let the listener hear this song about a dude folding clothes and draw their own meaning for their own relationships instead of just like throwing out a vague piece of advice at the end. And musically, it really doesn't hold up for me either. I don't think that J. Cole's like forceful and emphatic vocal delivery in the hook marries all that well with like the funky clean guitars and the distorted bass line. It's all a bit much. But I like the sentiment here. It just didn't materialize into a song that I could fuck with at all. And that's something that happens for me a few times on For Your Eyez Only, where Cole is delivering a profound message or he's saying something that really strikes a chord with me, but the music isn't moving me the same way the lyrics are. The song Change is another example of this, where he's addressing spirituality and mortality anxiety and personal growth, and he's coming at it from a very mature and interesting point of view, but then the melody and the beat are pretty vanilla. But there are also several moments where everything comes together for me, and J. Cole gives us some great fucking music. Like, the shining moment of the album by far, for me at least, is the title track. I literally shed a tear the first time I heard the ending of this track. It blew me away. The way he finishes the song off by addressing the concept of realness to his friend's daughter is not only beautiful and heartbreaking, but it perfectly ties up that same concept of realness that he introduced with the track Immortal. And that was back when realness was associated with Scarface mowing people down with an M16. But it's not just the ending. Everything about this song is phenomenal. The jazzy, somber horn melody and the beat is freaking gorgeous. Cole singing in the hook is simple and effective and almost sort of dreamlike. This is one of the must-listen songs of the year across any genre, and it basically like single-handedly makes a case for this album being good. Neighbors is my other favorite track. As he hits us with this fast, nimble flow, Cole talks about moving to this upscale, suburban, white area where people essentially racially profile him and as a result are suspicious of him and treat him and his friends differently. Even the cops, who he says bust in with the army guns, no evidence of the harm we done. Which of course ties his story into the bigger picture of race relations in America, especially with police. It's a real unique and fresh take on the whole fish out of water scenario, and you get a really great sense of his unease and even his maybe slight paranoia that develops in this area where he just feels like a total outcast. And by the end of the song, he's just like, fuck this, I'm out of here. So much for integration. The track She's Mine Part 2 I found to be real tender and cute in addressing this blossoming father-daughter relationship. And the song Deja Vu is a banger. And ironically, it uses this dope chipmunk soul sample in the beat, which, of course, Kanye, the guy J. Cole just dissed on False Prophets, popularized. One last thing I got to address here is this notion put forth by J. Cole fans that the potential conceptuality of this album is somehow what makes it amazing. I've, of course, seen the fan theory that's floating around that basically says that J. Cole is actually just relaying his friend James's story. I think that's very interesting, and I think it is totally a possibility. But an album cannot be great solely because it's conceptual. The music has to be there first. Think about a record like Deltron 3030. Yeah, the concept is cool as fuck, but the beats and the bars are already quite literally out of this world. Good Kid, Mad City is another example. And God forbid we bring rock music into this, like Pink Floyd's The Wall, Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime. My point simply is that the music is always more important than the concept. So just because this album may have a few layers to it doesn't mean that it's automatically a classic if some of the songs aren't quite there. So For Your Eyez Only is an interesting record to review because, like I said before, for me, the content of what J. Cole is saying is always there, but the songs themselves aren't always there. And what it ultimately comes down to is if you got 9 songs and an intro, and you don't like 1 or 2 songs at all, and you're lukewarm about another 2 or 3, it's hard to be super enthusiastic about the project. I can't imagine J. Cole fans will hold this album in the same regard as Born Sinner or 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Unless it's me that's just changed, but I don't think the track sequence has the same flow as those projects. I don't think there are as many hooks that grab you. And I'm walking away from this one more just like vaguely sad than I am empowered or inspired. But overall, I am slightly more positive on it than I am negative. And the tracks that I mentioned as highlights are outstanding. So I'm going to continue to listen to those. And I'm going to continue to listen to the rest of the record to see if I maybe warm up to it a bit, pun intended. For Your Eyez Only gets a 6 out of 10 from me. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, or shoot me a message so we can continue to talk music, and I'll see you guys soon.